Aloha, I'm Sabrina with The Begin Being, and in this video we're going to be talking about the 7th key to move to the new earth reality and master manifesting. Now the 7th key is actually gratitude. Now over the Thanksgiving week I made a video about gratitude. So if you watched that video, that video is going to totally prepare you for this video, and I hope that you've implemented a practice of gratitude. If you haven't watched that video, that's totally okay. You don't necessarily need to watch it to watch this video. So go ahead and continue watching this one, watch it to the end. In the link below in the description will be a link, or in the description below there will be a link to that video. Also, if you haven't watched keys 1 through 6, that's perfectly fine too. Just go ahead and watch this video to the end, and then you can start the cycle of watching all of the other videos. The links will be below. All right, so this is going to be talking about like advanced gratitude. So in the other video, I gave you different ways to implement a gratitude practice in your daily life. However, sometimes what can happen is there's certain things that we should be thankful for, grateful for, and usually we're not. And I'll explain what I mean by this, but what I want to do is, first of all, like, this was kind of too much to put in the original gratitude video, not just because like the video would be way too long, but it's also because, like I said, this is kind of more like advanced material. So what I really wanted you to do was kind of get like the sense of what gratitude is if you're unfamiliar with it, and to be able to kind of put it into your practice. Again, this particular video, you can go ahead and watch it all the way through if you haven't seen the other one. I do recommend after this one though, you go and watch that one. So let's get into this. Advanced gratitude. Well, what exactly does that mean? And like, you know, what's the purpose of gratitude anyway? So the advanced gratitude is going over situations where, like I said, sometimes you have something that, like I said, you should be grateful for, and the 3D way of thinking is to not be grateful for it. In fact, it's almost the opposite. It's to be like grumpy for it. And so instead, you end up doing the opposite of what you actually should be doing. So I mentioned this in the previous gratitude video I did, and I want to mention it briefly here as well. So when I was getting my degree in psychology, one of my absolute favorite topics was positive psychology. And in positive psychology, we learn things like having a gratitude practice, and we learn stuff like random acts of kindness and how these things actually increase your level of happiness. So whether or not you're doing this to move to the 5D reality or, you know, master manifesting, even if you're not like concentrating on any of that other stuff, it is helpful just in your daily life. And doing this particular part when you are trying to manifest something is an extremely important key as to like part of the whole manifestation process, because what it does is it actually brings the energy from the future to now. So it brings your goal, what you're trying to manifest, to you faster. So this is a very important key within the manifestation process. And I'll briefly tell you what I said in the other video about how to implement the gratefulness into like a grateful practice into your daily practice. One of the things I said was to tell them. So for example, if somebody did something and you were very grateful for that, just simply tell them. The second thing I mentioned was random acts of kindness. So if like there's something that happens that you see, like somebody drops their pen or something, you can pick it up and like hand it to them. You're just doing a kind act. Then they're actually grateful for you. And you can be grateful that you helped that person with whatever it is. I go into more detail on this one in the other video. The third one is to journal. So you can just journal. This is the most typical one you usually hear about when people are talking about a gratitude practice. And basically you just have a particular journal that's just for this, or app on your phone, however you want to do that. And basically at the end of the night, you just write down like one thing that you're grateful for that happened that day. And you can write like 3 things, 5 things, whatever is more comfortable for you. And I also mentioned that instead of doing it at night, if you're a person who likes to write in the morning, you can do it in the morning instead. I do recommend those 2 particular time periods because at night it's still like fresh from the day, and in the morning, even though you have slept, the previous day is still kind of fresh. If you do it, in the afternoon or something, you run the risk of the days kind of blending together. You also run the risk of forgetting. So again, I recommend journaling at night or in the morning, and it's writing down at least one thing that you're grateful for. There's a little bit more to it, which I discussed in the other video as well. And then the 4th thing is to meditate. So you actually go into a meditative state where you are visualizing going through the experience. So whatever the experience was that you're grateful for, you're doing a meditation where you see what you saw, you hear what you heard, and you really feel the feelings of feeling that gratitude in that moment of whatever it was that you're grateful for. Then I also released a guided meditation on guiding you through how to do that visualization. So you can check out those 2 videos, again, links below. And now we're going to get into the advanced gratitude practices, which, like I said, can sometimes make people a little bit uncomfortable. Now, here's what I mean by that. Are you grateful for the bills that you have to pay? Are you grateful for the bad service that you got at a restaurant? Now, here's what I mean by this. And if you're kind of cringing right now, you're going like, why in the world should I be grateful for those things? What are you talking about? So let's just take your cell phone bill, because pretty much everybody has a cell phone bill. Or an internet bill could be the same thing, because you're watching me, so you obviously have some sort of internet bill. If you take that and you think, oh, have you seen this cell phone bill? It's like a car payment. Like, seriously, it's a cell phone and I'm paying like a car payment. Well, I want you to stop and think about what you're able to do with that cell phone. And you actually probably use your cell phone more than you do your car. Most people wake up with it in the morning and go to bed with it at night. Think about all the access to information you have with that cell phone. Now, maybe you might be starting to feel a little bit more grateful in thinking about how you can play that solitaire app. Why is that coming to mind? I don't know. I don't even have a solitaire app on my phone, but maybe you're going to play solitaire and that's soothing and relaxing and calming for you. It like helps you de-stress at the end of the day. Maybe you have Kindle and like all of your favorite books are on there. Are you starting to feel a little bit more grateful for that cell phone bill? Because think about it, if it wasn't for that cell phone bill, you wouldn't be able to call or text your favorite person. You wouldn't be able to Google like anything that comes up in any moment in time, which we're constantly seeming to be doing. Most of the time it's your alarm clock. So you wouldn't be able to wake up in the morning on time and get to work and make the money to pay the cell phone bill. Are you feeling a little bit more grateful? I think you're getting the point here. Now, the other level of that is thinking about what paying that cell phone bill means. So by paying your cell phone bill, that means that you can. That means that you have a job to where you're making the money to be able to pay for the cell phone bill. Another way to be grateful. Do you see what I'm saying here? So it links to just more than, oh, here's this piece of paper with this outrageous number on it that I can't believe I'm paying this much for a freaking cell phone service, to being, wait, I'm grateful that I am able to pay this. Because if I wasn't able to pay this, like, I don't know, maybe I'd be a bum on the street, even though I've seen them with cell phones too. Still haven't figured that out yet. I'm working on it. But the point is that you can be grateful for all of the things that you have in your life, even the things that you traditionally in the old 3D reality aren't actually grateful for, or at least you don't think you should be. In this new way of thinking, instead of looking at that bill as almost like your enemy, like the man out to get you, you're looking at that bill and all that it represents, and now the energy you put into paying that bill. So you're on your app or you're doing whatever. Interesting. Most people pay their cell phone bill on their cell phone. Another reason to be grateful. You're not having to like write out checks and getting these weird ancient things called envelopes and stamps. Right? So, all joking aside though, seriously, when you're now giving that energy, like money is basically just an energy exchange. You worked this job over here and they gave you money, which is now this energy, and then now it's going over here and now it's being exchanged for something else, which is your cell phone bill. So when you're on there, you can now, instead of giving that bill the energy of like, I can't believe I have to pay this and blah, 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 you can have the energy of like, I'm happy, I'm grateful that I get to pay this because it means all of these other things to me. And so you can actually start being grateful for that. And what you notice is you're now in a vibration of abundance. Instead of being in the vibration of like, I don't want to give my money away, it's my money, I worked so hard for this money, I can't believe you're taking my money. Now you're in a vibration of abundance. And especially if one of your goals is to manifest like more abundance, more money, then now you're promoting that energy when you're grateful for something that, like I said, 3D energy says, no, I'm not grateful. Now you're promoting this energy of abundance because now you're like, wow, I get to pay my cell phone bill. The other thing that I mentioned earlier was, are you grateful for paying for a dinner which you weren't entirely satisfied with? So sometimes you go out to dinner to like a nice restaurant and maybe you're like celebrating something, maybe you're like treating yourself or treating someone else, like treating one of your loved ones to a really nice meal. And what can happen sometimes is maybe the wait staff didn't, seat you right away. Maybe they kept like not coming to your table, not refilling your water or whatever it is. Or maybe the staff was okay, but like the food, oh my goodness, like you were paying so much for this food and it came out and your steak's overcooked or your potatoes raw or whatever it is that's going on. Your meal is just not what you expected, and you get the bill. And this is especially true if this is maybe like a meal that's maybe like kind of like more at the top of your budget, like not something that you normally go out and do. And you get the bill and you're looking at it and you're like, I just paid all this money. You're like, I'm about to pay all this money for crappy service, for food that didn't taste good, for blah, blah, blah. And instantly you start thinking about all of the negative things that came along with this particular meal and with the receipt and with like the bill. If you go into that type of mentality, you are instantly changing the memory of dinner that evening. So let's say, sure, the service wasn't that great or the food wasn't that great or whatever it was, but whoever you were there with, that part was amazing. You had this amazing time connecting to that person. By being ungrateful for paying that bill, you're now taking everything that happened during this whole transition and completely changing the energy of it. What if, by the waiter not being attentive to you, your meal took longer and you actually got to spend more time with this person? Have you thought of it like that? Did you ever think about bad service of them not coming by means actually that your meal is going to take longer? And by your meal taking longer, you're now able to actually sort of enjoy the moment a little bit more. The food, well, do you have boundaries? I have done a whole video on boundaries. Do you have boundaries to be able to say, excuse me, I wanted my steak medium rare and this is well done. Will you please take this back and, be polite, be kind about it. Say like, hey, I see that you guys are really busy. I see that a lot is going on. Maybe I got someone else's mistake. Oh my gosh, that is hilarious. I got someone else's steak by mistake. And then, hand them your plate. Most of the time, they want a good tip, right? So they're not going to be upset. They're just going to be like, oh yeah, sure, let me go fix this. And they'll have the kitchen remake it. So by sitting there looking at your bill and thinking about the crappy food and blaming the crappy food, what if it really was a mistake? What if the waiter accidentally wrote down or they didn't write down, the writing wasn't clear or something, and then they accidentally put in a well steak or well temperature steak, and so the chef just made it like that? What if it was just a simple mistake? What if your steaks did get switched with somebody else's? When the waiter is not attentive to you, are you paying attention to how many tables they might be taking? What if an event came into town that the restaurants weren't really prepared for, and so they were super crowded and didn't have enough wait staff? Or maybe somebody called in sick. Did you take the time to ask your waiter how their day's going? Did you ask them hey, I see you're really busy. How are you doing today? Are you okay? What if you did that instead? So that's basically advanced gratitude, is when you start to step out of the situation and you become the observer. So that is actually one of the things I talk about in the ways to know if you're in the 3D reality or the 5D reality, is you start to become the observer. So instead of getting involved in the situation of now maybe you and the person are talking about how bad your service is, and your conversation becomes about that versus maybe the pleasant things you were prepared to talk about or you wanted to talk about. What if that's how your conversation goes instead? Or what if you're oh, our waiter hasn't been by in a while, my water's pretty much gone, I wonder what's going on. And come at it from a place of the observer, come at it from a place of curiosity, and look around, and maybe you see your waiter over there and he has or she has a table of 20, and you're oh, that seems like a lot of work. I don't know if I would want that, right? And so then your waiter comes over and you're hey, I really would like some water. I've been so thirsty today. Maybe go ahead and bring me a couple of glasses, or if you can set the pitcher here, that would be great, because I see that you're really busy over there with that big table, and I know you're probably running around, and so maybe go ahead and bring me a couple of glasses of water. Maybe provide a solution for them instead of just being grumpy that they're not there and attentive to you. Now, I am in no way saying that this advanced gratitude practice is easy in the moment. So when we're in the moment, it is it's actually easy sometimes to get wrapped up in the, oh my gosh, I don't have service, what's going on? And I'm going to give you an example of something that really hits home for me, because it actually happened yesterday. So sometimes with these videos, I have to film a bunch of them, and that way, because when I go on the road, it's harder for me to be able to film and edit, and I'll do all of that stuff. And so sometimes I have to film a bunch of them in a particular time period, right together, and then that way I can have them set to release when I'm on the road training. Now with this particular one, this was the most videos I've ever filmed at a time, and it was the video that was going to come out that week, and then it was these 7 videos. So I was going to film 8 videos at a time in a row, which is the most I've ever done. And I get to, it was the video number 5, I get about halfway through it. So that would be 6 videos in total that I was almost through, and I was halfway through that one. And all of a sudden I had this gut feeling to be hey, you should check your microphone. And I'm oh, okay, well, let me check, maybe let me make sure the batteries are okay and stuff like that. And so I go to check it, and I'm okay, it's off. Like, this isn't good. When I checked this morning, the battery was full, or at least the little icon was showing that it was full. And so I was like, great. Just great. All right, so how long has this been off? And so I plug everything up to my computer, and I'm like going through the videos and stuff. And here's the thing. I have to redo every single video, because the first video, the audio was fine for a little bit, and then it kind of like cut out. And then the second video, it's weird because it kind of like started cutting in and out. And then towards the last videos, it was just gone completely. So I'm like, I have to start all over. And naturally in the moment, I'm like, wow, this really sucks. Like, this really, really sucks, because I did not have time for this at all. But doing my work, I'm thinking, okay, well, what's my lesson? What is my lesson that I need to get out of this? Because obviously there's something going on. There's something maybe I need to learn, or something that I need to, like, figure out, like, what is the purpose for that's happening? And there were kind of a couple of things that came up last night that I was like, okay, yeah, I can see how maybe this is a good lesson for me to get in this particular way. And then something happened this morning. So I've been rereading a book that I read like a long time ago, and I've been rereading it lately. And this morning I was taking just like a couple of minutes for myself, for like my self-care routine. And I was going to read just a little bit in this book before I started my day. And in there, it happened to be talking about the exact thing that I was talking about when I had that gut feeling to check my microphone. And because I read the book a long time ago, it wasn't like in the forefront of my mind. And so I had no intentions of including the book or the information in the book in that particular video. But because everything messed up, this morning, I got more information, and I was able to take that information and make that video even better than it would have been without that particular information. Now then you're like, okay, well, why did all the other videos have to mess up? Because if they didn't, if it was only like the last video that messed up, then I would just kind of like redo that video, and I wouldn't have read the information. In fact, my entire morning would have gone completely different this morning, because this morning I was planning on just doing, I had 2 more videos after the series I just told you about, because I wanted to do 2 meditations as well. So that's what I was planning to do today. So my morning would have been completely different. I wouldn't have read that information. I would have done the meditations instead. And then I would have like finished all of the other videos, and then I would have read it maybe like the next day or something. But by then I would definitely not have refilmed the video. So I am very grateful for something that seems on the surface, something that seems to be very like, can really piss you off and can really just light your stuff up and be like, why? Like, why is this happening? I've lost an entire day now, and I'm gonna have to do everything completely different now. So those are the times when sometimes it can be a little bit more difficult to be grateful. And that's advanced gratitude, is when you can be grateful for times when it's not always easy. All right, well, thank you for watching this video. This actually concludes, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Like, this has been such an amazing journey, like filming all of this, especially for what happened. Oh, and I wouldn't have had that story to tell in this video too, so extra bonus. Anyway, but I've been having an amazing and fun time with filming all of these videos and getting lessons I needed to get. And thank you so much for continuing to watch this series. If you're joining me on this last one, again, links to all of the others will be in the description below. All right, well, thank you again. Always, please, always choose love in everything that you do. Mahalo. Okay, I don't know if I said this, so I want to make sure this is in there. And the other key part to being grateful when you're trying to manifest is to be able to be grateful as if whatever you're trying to manifest has already happened. So you're already grateful for it. In the first video in the series, I talk about how it's basically been proven that time does not exist the way we think about it. Time is not linear. Time is actually cyclical. So here's the thing, if you can feel gratitude now for it already happening in the future, that actually projects towards the future and has the opposite effect of projecting back toward the past. So normally you're thankful after something happens. So say somebody walks up to you and gives you $100. You're like super grateful. You're like, yes, that was awesome. I just like got $100 from this random stranger. How cool is that? And you're so excited, and like you can, just thinking about that, you can feel those emotions, right? Well, feel those emotions right now in this very moment of what you want to manifest. Now, if you're wanting to manifest like, you know, having a better physical health, if that's like your goal, then what you can do is you think about, okay, well, how am I going to feel when I've got my goal? And so you can like think about, oh, okay, my body feels like this, like here are the sounds that I hear, here are the things that I see, and really feel the feelings of like feeling grateful for being able to accomplish that goal. How does that feel for you? What kind of emotions are coming up? Is it joy? Is it excitement? Is it like being proud, like you're proud of yourself? Like what emotions would you be feeling if you accomplished that goal? Same thing if you're trying to manifest a new relationship. When you get into that relationship, how does it feel? What emotions are you feeling? Are you feeling emotions of like love and, you know, happiness and like butterflies in your tummy because all of the excitement? And so really feel those feelings and then feel grateful. Feel how like happy you are going to be in like with that when you meet that person and you're going on those dates. Really feel those emotions of feeling grateful and really expressing that gratitude as if it's already happened. Same thing if you like get a new job. What you know, emotions might you be feeling when you start that new job? Maybe you're like a little apprehensive because it's new, and so you're like, ooh, I'm going to meet all these new people. You know, how is that going to feel? Feel all of those feelings, and again, feel that feeling of gratitude. If it's like a desk or something that you walk up to, feel like that gratitude of like, ooh, here's my desk. Like I'm so thankful that I have this.